Welcome to Author's Ideas, a production of JR Global, an MJR production. This series is based on the recent Oxford University Press published book, Global Business in the Age of Destruction and Distraction. As a part of their Global Business series, Gaurav Rastogi joins J.R. Klein and Mahesh Joshi in examining and exploring the disruptive nature of today's world, and introduces ideas for learning how to cope with disruption and remain relevant. Here is your host, J.R. Klein.
Last week we looked a little bit at how looking backward and forward to be able to remain relevant in the world requires sort of a changing of the frame of mind. Knowing by experience of success and failure gives way to humility, building confidence, and the ability to engage. The innovative part of the human brain can be constrained with the shackles of doing only things one way and rationalizing the effect of always getting the same results. This thinking is fertile ground for automation's propensity. Its propensity to handle the predictability of systemic thinking. The biggest worry of most companies and individuals is the rear-view mirror question. Is this the best way to do it? Reality reveals that someone in some part of the world is thinking about a better idea that can instantly make any industry or any worker irrelevant. Success can be a source of fragility. If thinking and action are too wedded to an idea or one single idea of success, it leads to not doing anything else, which creates a state of fragility. True success requires just the opposite. Nissim Taleb calls this anti-fragile, which is when variations are introduced into an environment, they are met with a measured, learned approach of reinvented thinking. This involves taking the risk of failure and willingly experiencing it again and again. The skills of dealing with failure are learned. The conquering of fear of failure is the primary strategy of success. This is the attitude needed by leaders, workers, and anyone desiring success in life. The retreat from thinking and confronting the concept of reinvention will not only affect the individual or the business, but it will also affect everyone and everything. Reinvention has a lot to do with rethinking, but also has a lot to do with building new habits. Steve Jobs is an example of this. As a young man who was starting Apple, which launched the personal computer revolution, he went public with his company at the age of 25, and within a few years of being highly successful, became a multimillionaire. Then he was fired from his company at age 30. Within a year, he was making the moves that would ultimately bring him back into Apple. He invested in the next generation of computers, a handheld device, and in the company Pixar. 10 years later, both of these investments helped him come back to Apple when change created an environment where he was needed once again. Some segments of the workforce have already adapted. The willingness to take risks, to experiment, to be successful while risking a lot more is the definition of an entrepreneur. Thinking about career and personal reinvention is not about looking back at history, but about today's playing field and how to stay relevant on it. The concept of personal reinvention encourages celebrating successful benchmarks and moving on to the next thing. We'll talk more about this next week.
Thank you for listening. If you are interested in more of the author's ideas, look for their Oxford University Press published books on global business, wherever books are sold. If you are interested in contacting the authors, they can be reached at info@jrglobal.co.